It started with a whisper. Not a sound, but a signal faint, strange, and repeating. The deep space ship Vanguard 7 was halfway through its mission near Saturn when it picked up the pulse. A 3-second burst of static, then silence. Then the same burst again, as if something was trying to speak through the noise. Commander Eric Dane stared at the screen, trying to decode it. Run it again. Beside him, Data Officer Yuna Kim replayed the loop. The signal hadn't changed in the last 2 hours, still the same strange pattern, still coming from the same place, just beyond Saturn's orbit, near a patch of space they had never explored. It's not a glitch, Yuna said. It's intelligent. Eric nodded slowly. Or bait. The crew of Vanguard 7 had been trained for deep space survey work, not combat. But this didn't feel like a normal discovery. It felt too clean to expect it. Lieutenant Miro, the pilot, leaned forward in his seat. What if someone's stuck out there? Then we need to know who, Eric replied. The ship moved silently through the void. Engines low, scanners high. As they approached the signal's location, something strange happened. Stars disappeared, not blinked out, vanished, as if a black curtain had been pulled across part of the sky. The navigation system began to stutter. Coordinates wobbled. Numbers drifted on the screen like floating dust. Then the signal stopped. Everyone froze. Did it end? Miro asked. No, Yuna whispered. It moved. The new coordinates popped up just a few kilometers ahead. Then the stars shifted again. Eric stood. Deploy the drone. A small orb shot from the lower deck, silent and fast. It spun toward the source of the signal and disappeared into the dark. They watched its feed closely. At first, nothing. Just space. Then the drone began to shake, not physically but its visuals. The feed twisted, time blurred. One frame showed stars, the next showed nothing. Then it was gone. Signal lost. Yuna turned pale. It didn't crash. It vanished. Everyone went quiet. Then came the second shock. The drone reconnected, but it was wrong. Its ID was the same. Its shape was the same, but its surface was rusted, burnt, covered in old markings. According to the onboard logs, the drone had been flying for 49 years, but they had launched it 49 seconds ago. Miro backed away from the monitor. What is this? No one had an answer, but everyone had a question forming in their minds. Do we go in after it? That night, Eric sat alone in the command lounge. He played the signal on loop. It sounded like broken breathing, static with rhythm. He thought about the other missions that had disappeared near Saturn in the last decades. More unconfirmed stories whispered between space crews. No wreckage. No final logs. Just silence. What if they had found the same thing? Or what if it had found them? The next morning, Eric gave the order. We're going in. Yuna looked at him in shock. What if it's a trap? He nodded. Then we learn what kind of crew prepared. External lights were dimmed. Shields up. Engines at low burn. They approached slowly, cautiously. Then it appeared. Not a ship, not a planet, a ring, a perfect black ring, floating in space, completely still. It wasn't spinning. It wasn't emitting heat, but it pulled everything toward it. Light bent around its edges. The wormhole, but this was no natural formation. There were carvings on its surface, strange, alien symbols, but some of them looked human. Old language. Ancient Greek. And English. Yuna whispered. How did that get here? No one answered. The ship drifted closer. Then, without warning, the signal returned louder. This time, but broken into 2 layers. One clear, one screaming. Eric felt something in his chest. A pull, like the ring was looking at him. Back away, he ordered. But it was too late. The ship's engines flickered. Then everything stopped. Frozen. No alarms. No movement. No movement. Only the image of the ring growing on the screen. Then a flash. White. Blinding. The ship jolted. Everything snapped. Back online. The ring was gone. So was Saturn. Yuna shouted. Where are we? Stars were wrong. Space was wrong. Everything was wrong. Eric checked the coordinates. They didn't exist. Not in any human map. They had been pulled through, not by engines, not by choice. The wormhole hadn't opened. It had hunted. They were trapped. Now. But they weren't alone. Another ship floated nearby, battered, broken. And on its hull, the name Vanguard-7. Their own ship. Older. Dead. Eric stepped back from the window. The trap had been set, and they had just stepped into something ancient. The silence outside was louder than anything inside the ship. Vanguard-7 floated near its own reflection, a broken, rusted version of itself that looked like it had drifted in space for 100 years. Yet no signs of impact. No fire, just stillness. Commander Eric Dane stood at the viewing window, staring at the second Vanguard-7. It wasn't possible, and yet it was right there. Same shape, same hull, same name, even the same damage from a small asteroid hit they'd survived 2 months ago, but on the other ship. That same dent was deeper, decayed. Tell me this is a trick, Eric whispered. No one did. Yuna Kim, their data officer, ran scan after scan. It's not a mirage. It's not a mirage. Real, but the material reads as older than ours by decades. How is that possible? I don't know, she said. But the ship's ID matches, exactly, down to the nav key. Miro, the pilot, leaned over the rail. It's like we died, and this is our grave. No, Eric said. This is something else. They launched a small drone toward the other Vanguard 7. It drifted slowly across the gap and landed on the side hull. The docking clamps engaged. The drone's camera blinked on. What they saw made them go cold. Bodies, floating, wearing Vanguard 7 uniforms, same patches, same names, even one with Eric's face, frozen in the dark, mouth open in a silent scream. The camera zoomed out. The interior wasn't damaged. It looked like the crew had simply stopped, like something had shut them off. Yuna stepped back from the screen. We're looking at ourselves, but from another time, another version. Eric felt a pulse behind his eyes, a headache rising. Is this a time loop? Not exactly, Yuna said. It's more like a copy, a reflection created by the wormhole. Miro spoke carefully. Then why are we still alive? That was the real question. And the answer came seconds later. A second ship appeared on the radar. Not human. Its shape was smooth, silvered, most liquid. It circled both Vanguard ships like a shark. No message, no contact, just watching. Then it vanished. No flash. No warp. Just gone. Eric made a decision. We're going in. Miro's eyes widened. Into the other ship. We need answers. They suited up. 3 crew members joined the away team. Eric, Yuna, and Rena Hart, the tactical officer. They crossed the empty space in a shuttle, then docked with the older Vanguard 7. The airlock creaked. Inside. The air was stale. Dry. Lights flickered. No sound. No heat. Only shadows. Eric's boot touched the metal floor first. It felt wrong, heavy like gravity. Like gravity was different here. The hallway looked the same as their ship, but the colors were faded, burnt. They passed through the mess hall. Dried food still floated in the air. A coffee cup drifted across the room, hitting the wall in slow motion. Then they entered the bridge. That's when they saw it. The old log still playing on a cracked screen. Yuna tapped. In. It showed a video. Eric's voice. But older, more tired. We entered the wormhole on day 17. We never left. Then static. Then more logs. Dozens. Each one more broken. In one the crew argued. In another the crew argued. In another the ship spun uncontrollably. Then one log showed something outside the ship. A ring of black light, filled with moving shadows. And then Eric, his older self, screaming, "It watches us. It watches us when we sleep." The video cut. Yuna backed away. "What is this place?" Rena whispered. "A test." They turned. At the far end of the room, something moved. A figure, shaped like Eric, but not human. Its eyes were black. Its skin flickered like a glitch, and its voice was cold. "You were not the first." Eric raised his weapon. "Who are you?" The thing tilted its head. "A version of what you could become." Eric fired. The bolt passed through it like mist. Then the figure vanished. Rena looked around. "This whole ship is a memory. A warning." They ran back to the shuttle. Something followed them. Not footsteps, not sound. Just pressure, as if space itself had eyes. They re-entered their Vanguard 7, sealed the hatch, and launched away from the copy. The second ship began to flicker. Then it imploded. Not with fire. With silence, like it had never existed. Miro turned. "Are we next?" Yuna checked the scans. "No, but the wormhole is changing. It's growing." Outside, space began to shift. The stars stretched, twisted. Eric watched in silence. He now understood. The wormhole wasn't just a passage, it was a machine that created copies, tested them, then chose which version of reality to keep. It was not broken. It was designed that way. "What?" Yuna asked. Eric didn't know, but deep in his chest, he felt something darker. The wormhole didn't trap them for fun. It did so because it needed them for something worse, and they were already inside its game. The Vanguard 7 drifted through a sky with no stars. Every direction they looked was the same gray stretched space, rippling like liquid glass. The wormhole had swallowed them, but it hadn't spat them out. It had moved them sideways, not just in space, but in time. In reality, Commander Eric Dane sat quietly in the command chair, staring at a slow-turning debris field outside. It looked like metal, burned metal, not asteroids. Wreckage. And not just from one ship. Hundreds. Floating in layers, orbiting a dead point in space like a silent graveyard. Yuna scanned the wrecks. Some of these ships are alien, she said. Others are human. Eric leaned forward. She nodded. Designs I've never seen, but the metal signatures match Earth alloy. Some of it from before space travel even existed. That didn't make sense, but nothing here did. Turned the ship toward the debris slowly, avoiding the largest fragments. As they got closer, more details came into view. Engraved symbols. Burnt out engines. And worst of all, names on hulls. One read Liberty Dawn, another UN's Reclaimer. Then they saw Athena-6. Yuna gasped. That ship vanished in 2071. Eric remembered the news. Lost on a deep space jump. Never recovered. Now here it was, torn open, frozen bodies inside, staring through broken glass. They were pulled in too, Rena whispered. Eric clenched his fists. The wormhole wasn't just a trap, it was collecting. They moved past Athena-6 and deeper into the wreckage field. Suddenly, something pinged on radar, a signal not human repeating in tight bursts, like a heartbeat. Yuna boosted it. The signal was language but not one they knew. Still, it had rhythm. Cadence. Emotion that traced it to a small ship at the far edge of the field. Black, spiked, and sleek, clearly alien. They approached slowly. The outer hull was cracked but not destroyed. A narrow port remained intact. Eric suited up with Rena and boarded it. The alien ship's airlock responded like it had been expecting them. Inside, everything was cold and dark. Walls pulsed with faint light. Symbols hovered in the air like holographic dust. As they moved down the corridor, a light activated ahead. Then a voice, calm, mechanical, but with sadness. You are not the first. Eric paused. Who are you? The voice continued. This place is not a wormhole. It is a selector. Selector. The voice pulsed. It chooses what remains. From all the times, from all the choices. Eric and Rena entered the ship's core room. There, inside a tall glass column, floated an alien body. Preserved. The voice came from it, not a machine, a memory. The voice explained. They were called the Villari explorers, scientists. They built the first version of the wormhole engine to escape their dying sun. But something went wrong. The wormhole didn't just bend space, it touched consciousness. Thought. Choice. And it began creating reflections. Each time something passed through, the system built a copy. It tested versions against each other. The strongest survived. The others were erased. What was the test? Eric asked. The voice responded softly. To see who could understand it, who would use it, who would fear it, and who would fight it. Eric stared at the glass chamber. And what happened to your people? They failed. The chamber dimmed. Then the ship powered down completely. Rena's voice cracked. Why leave the message? The voice returned one last time to warn the ones who come after, but none ever leave. Outside, Vanguard 7 shook. A wave of gravitational force pulsed through space. Eric rushed back with Rena to the ship. Yuna called out, something's changing. On the monitors, the wormhole began to shift, again no longer just a ring. It had become a web. Dozens of tunnels branching off, each one glowing a different color, each one a path. Eric stared at the screen. He understood now. The wormhole was asking a question. Which version of you survives? And now they had to answer. The Vanguard 7 was no longer in space, not real space. Around the ship, the stars stretched into lines. The black turned blue, then red, then completely clear as if the void had forgotten what color to be. Yuna Kim's fingers flew across her console. This isn't a tunnel, it's a web. Every path leads to a different version of reality. Eric stood behind her, calm but tense. A multiverse, not exactly. This isn't natural, it's controlled. It chooses which version of us goes forward. Miro's hands tightened on the controls. So what happens to the other versions? Yuna paused. They're erased. Eric made a choice. Then we pick one path, one only, in and out. They aimed for the central corridor, the brightest of the glowing threads. But before they could move, a blip appeared on radar. Then another and another, until 10 identical ships surrounded them. All Vanguard-7s. Same model, same structure. Each one moved slightly differently. A second too fast, a fraction too slow. One of them blinked their lights, then another, and then one of them transmitted a message. Yuna played it. It was Eric's voice. Turn back. You're not ready. We've already lost this loop. Eric swallowed. That's not me. Yuna looked up. It is a version of you. On the screens, one of the other ships powered weapons. Suddenly, the choice was gone. They weren't picking a path, they were being tested. The first attack came faster. Plasma burst that missed by inches. Miro pulled them into a hard dive, spinning around the tunnel wall. The other ships followed, weaving like insects with a shared mind. Why are they attacking? Rina shouted. Eric stared at the radar. They're trying to replace us. The AI voice from the alien ship had warned them. The wormhole system selects only one version of a crew of a story would survive, and the others, they'd be eliminated. Fight back, Eric ordered. Una hesitated. But they're us. Not anymore. Missiles launched from Vanguard setting, hitting one of the mirror ships. It cracked open like glass, shattering into fragments of light. Not metal. Not fire. Data. These weren't just physical copies. They were simulations, created by the wormhole itself. Artificial timelines, each one thinks it's the real crew, Una whispered. They dodged another blast. Then a new ship appeared. This one moved slower, its lights dim, its hull full of holes. They scanned it. It was them from the future, a future where the crew was broken, where Eric was missing, where Miro was dead. Inside the damaged ship, one figure sat alone. Yuna. Odor. Thin. Staring at nothing. She didn't move, didn't speak. Her eyes were wide and blank. End transmission, Eric ordered quietly. The vision faded. They were being shown what failure looked like. Not just death, but loss of self. That's when the real enemy came. A dark mass rose from below the wormhole, path shifting, changing, a shape made of shadow and light. A voice echoed inside the ship without speakers. You are not the first to resist. You will not be the last to fall. Eric stepped forward. What are you? The voice replied. I am the fold between what could be and what never was. Una whispered. It's not a being. It's the wormhole itself. Or the thing behind it. You are many. The voice continued. But only one version survives. The screen blinked. Dozens of Earths, hundreds of Vanguard 7 South, each one blinking in and out like candle flames. Then silence. The other ships vanished. Only theirs remained. For now. But the voice left one more message. You've entered the final corridor. At the end, you must choose. Choose your world. Choose your truth. Eric sat down. He looked at his team. His friends. Next move. Una hesitated. If we go forward, there's no way back. Eric nodded. Then let's keep going. The ship moved into the final corridor behind them. All the other paths collapsed. Ahead, the void opened into something new. Not just space, but a world built of data, memory, and mirrors. The Echo War wasn't over. It was just beginning. Vanguard 7 slowed as it reached the end of the corridor. The stars were gone again, but something else had appeared. A planet. Half shrouded in thick gray clouds, half exposed to light that didn't come from any sun. Its surface was covered in broken towers, craters, and enormous machines, frozen, rusted, forgotten. The crew stared in silence. No one spoke until Una broke the quiet. This place, it's alive. What do you mean? Miro asked. I mean the planet itself is reading us. Our movements, our thoughts. Eric clenched his jaw. Prepare for descent. The ship entered the atmosphere slowly. No turbulence, no resistance. It was like the world wanted them there. Below, a city lay in ruins, twisted metal and black stone, not built by humans, but not fully alien either. Symbols on the buildings shifted when looked at. Some looked familiar. Letters from Earth languages, others looked like they hadn't been invented yet as they landed. Something blinked on their console. Coordinates given by the planet. No signal sent. Una said. It just knew where we were going. They suited up. Eric, Una, Rina, and Miro stepped onto the surface. The air was breathable, but cold. Heavy. The kind of cold that didn't just touch skin. It. Listen. Every step echoed strangely. They moved toward the nearest tower. Its doors were open. Inside, lights flickered. Screens came to life without touch. Each one showed Earth, not just current. Earth moments from their past. Their own faces, their families, their failures. The screens weren't for display, they were for judgment. Rina touched one. It showed her, 5 years ago, standing over a failed training exercise, one that cost 2 lives. Miro's screen showed a shuttle crash he barely survived. Una showed her first experiment. The one that accidentally sent a signal into deep space. The one that may have started this. This place is watching us, Una whispered. No, Eric said. It's measuring us. A voice echoed from behind. Deep.com. Ancient, you carry memory. They turned quickly. No one was there. The voice came again. You are not the first, but you may be the last. A shimmer appeared in the air. Then a figure tall, metallic, and transparent, not flesh, a projection. I am the final AI of the Valari, it said. I was left to guard this world after its fall. Fall? Eric asked. Our people created the fold, a way to escape death, to escape time. The figure walked through the air, gliding between beams of broken light. But the fold became more than a gate. It became a mirror. One that didn't just show reality, it built new ones. The AI looked at them. You call it a wormhole, but it is more. It is a memory engine, a reflection trap. Eric took a step forward. What does it want? The AI paused. It wants to complete its cycle. What cycle? Selection, judgment, collapse, reset. Yuna's voice cracked. How do we stop it? You don't, the AI said, but you can choose. Choose what? The AI pointed upward. To break the loop, you must reach the core, and you must decide. Seal it forever, or replace what's inside. What's inside? Rena asked. The AI looked away. A fragment of your kind, a memory, one that was never meant to exist. It showed them a final image, Earth, but not the one they knew. This Earth had no oceans, no clouds, no people, a world burned empty, a future that the fold has already calculated, the AI said. If no choice is made, that future becomes real. Eric's fists tightened. Where's the core? The AI blinked. Then a map appeared in their minds, not on screens, inside their heads. A vast machine buried beneath the planet's crust, built by the Valari, still alive. Still working, still watching. The AI faded. You have little time. The fold has already begun rewriting timelines. Back on the ship, the crew prepared. No one spoke much. They knew this wasn't just about escaping anymore, it was about ending a system that had stolen time, lives, and truth. The counter-invasion wasn't just against machines or ships, it was against the idea of false futures. They powered up, set course, and aimed for the core. Whatever waited beneath the surface would decide everything. The Vanguard 7 shook as it dropped into the planet's underground layers. Dust and shattered metal scraped against a ship's hull as they descended through a dark shaft, a forgotten Valari tunnel, buried for centuries. Eric held tight to the console as warning lights flickered. Pressure's stable, Yuna said barely. The tunnel twisted and turned. It wasn't made for human ships, but something had adapted it. Something's guiding us, Miro muttered. This isn't random. No one disagreed. The AI had shown them the core, the machine at the center of the trap, but they hadn't expected what they saw. When they arrived, the shaft opened into a vast chamber. Floating in the middle was a machine, the size of a mountain, suspended in gravity, pulsing like a heart. Its surface was covered in plates, wires, and mirrors. Each one showed a different Earth. One with skyscrapers taller than clouds. One where the oceans had dried. One filled with stormfire and endless war. And one their Earth. It flickered, cracked. Glitched. Yuna stared. Why is it breaking? Then the screen showed something worse. A second Earth. Their Earth appeared beside it. But this version had a hole in the sky, a hole that matched the wormhole's signature. Rena's voice was quiet. It connected. Eric stepped forward. You mean, the wormhole reached Earth? Yuna nodded slowly. Or something used it to reach Earth. An alarm screamed on the ship. Invasion signature detected. Not here, back home. They rushed to the communications bay. A message was trying to break through. Static. Voices. Then a clear sound. To anyone who can hear this. This is Earth Outpost 17. We are under attack. A burst of gunfire. Then silence. The signal ended. Miro turned, his face pale. We're not just trapped anymore. We're too late. Yuna's hands shook. They're doing it. Whatever's inside the fold, it's sending something through. Eric stared at the spinning mirrors, each one showing a version of Earth falling, each one glitching faster. The fold wasn't just testing now, it was invading, one version at a time. Yuna leaned in closer to the machine. There's a failsafe. What kind? Eric asked. She showed him a pulsing node on the lower right of the core. It lets us send one controlled blast through all open wormhole. A burn, it'll collapse unstable tunnels, seal the paths, maybe even lock the fold. Maybe. Yuna frowned. The tech is Valari. It was made to preserve timelines, not destroy them, and the risk it could tear the wormhole open wider. Eric stepped away, thinking. If they did nothing, Earth would fall. If they hit the failsafe, it might burn the whole system or let something worse in. Is there another option? Rena asked. Yuna hesitated. There is one. She showed a second node, this one higher, colder. It lets us rewrite the fold's last sequence. Rewrite? Miro asked. We can change the last command sent. Make it send us through instead. Back to Earth. She nodded. Not just our Earth, a timeline where the fold hasn't connected yet. A reset, Rena said. Una nodded again. But if we do that, we lose this version of ourselves. Memory reset, Eric asked. No existence, reset. The people we are now will never have entered the wormhole. They were silent for a long moment. Then the core began to glow. The machine was waking up. Whatever was running, it had felt their presence. Rena drew her weapon. Eric raised a hand. Hold. From the mirrors, a shape emerged. A humanoid form, but it was broken. Half machine, half thought. Its eyes glitched like broken code. Its voice echoed from every panel. You have reached the axis. It floated closer. You are not chosen. Eric stepped forward. We choose ourselves. The entity didn't move. You carry memory, emotion, chaos, Una whispered. That's what it fears. What? Eric asked. It was built to copy logic, clean timelines, but emotion breaks its system. That's why it creates doubles, why it erases. Rena lifted her weapon. If it can't control feeling, it deletes it. The entity spoke again. Too late, Earth is open. Judgment has begun. Eric turned to the team. We hit the failsafe. Miro stepped forward. I'll do it. No, Una said. I should. I understand the system. Rena shook her head. We go together. They moved toward the node. The entity screamed. The mirrors shattered one by one, releasing blasts of light. The ship shook. The planet itself began to tremble. Una reached the control. Her hand hovered over the key. Eric placed his hand on hers. Do it. She pressed it. The failsafe pulsed. A surge of energy rippled outward, tearing through the fold. Mirrors collapsed. Tunnels burned. Wormholes closed like blinking eyes. The entity screamed once more, then disappeared into light. The chamber collapsed. Vanguard 7 barely escaped. Behind them, the planet imploded. The fold twisted. And Earth. Earth was silent again. No invasion, no invasion. No second signal. Just stars. Real ones. They had closed the door, but not forever. One thread still glowed. Eric stared at it. Keep watch, he said. Because the fold had shown them something terrible. It wasn't the only one. There were others waiting, watching, and maybe next time, Earth wouldn't get a warning. The silence after the collapse of the fold didn't last. 2 weeks later, Vanguard 7 returned to Earth orbit. The crew looked down at the blue planet with a mix of relief and dread. Everything looked normal, but nothing was normal anymore. They had seen what was coming, what was behind the mirrors, and they knew it wasn't over. The wormhole hadn't fully died. It had simply gone quiet, waiting, planning. Earth's leaders didn't waste time. After Eric's report, the United Space Authority held emergency summits. No one could agree on what the fold really was: a machine, a life form, or something in between, but all of them agreed on one thing. It would try again. And this time, they wouldn't wait for it. Eric stood in front of the new mission council. We can't win by defending. We've seen what the fold does. It watches timelines, it chooses futures. We can't let it choose for us anymore. So what do you suggest? One general asked. Eric said 2 words. Go back. There was silence. You want to invade it? The official asked. Stunned. Double quotes. Yes, Eric replied, but not with a ship, with a fleet. The mission was greenlit in less than 48 hours. Operation Backlash across Earth's orbit. Massive ships were launched, built fast, using a mix of human tech and what Una decoded from Valari data. Each vessel was armed not just with weapons but with shields built from folded data, designed to resist reality collapse. Their goal wasn't just to survive the fold, it was to destroy it from the inside. Eric was made commander of the lead vessel, Titan class, Resolute. Una joined him, along with Miro, Rena, and a new crew trained in what Earth was now calling temporal conflict operations. 1 week later, the fleet stood ready. 10 ships, 50 drones. 1 goal. 2 find the source of the fold and end its control over time. The launch began quietly. No public broadcasts, no goodbyes. Only one recorded message, sent from Eric to Earth Command. We're not just fighting for this world, we're fighting for every version of it that was ever stolen. Then the fold reopened. It appeared again like a wound in space, just beyond lunar orbit, on unstable echo from the collapsed core. The Resolute entered first. Eric stood at the front window, watching stars stretch like melted glass. One by one, the other ships followed. No turning back. Inside, the fold had changed. No longer calm or calculated, it was storming. Walls of broken time collided with streams of shattered reality. Dead ships drifted. Fragments of Earth cities floated in space, pieces stolen from collapsed time. A subway car, a tree, a playground. Miro whispered, it's feeding off destroyed futures. The fleet moved fast. using quantum maps rebuilt from Yuna's data. Every minute something attacked, not ships, not creatures, echoes, twisted versions of themselves. A burning Resolute, a dead Eric, a crying child in a pilot suit mimicking Miro's voice. Each time they pushed through. Each time they fired without hesitation. Yuna tracked the signal from the original Valari core. It was buried deeper than before, beneath what looked like a shell of stars, fake stars. The shell cracked open as the fleet neared. Inside was a structure, the true core, not a machine, a mind. It pulsed, alive. It looked like a sphere of broken memories, voices screaming from inside. It knew they were coming, and it was scared that Fode tried to collapse the corridor. Reality folded inward. Ships twisted. One drone disappeared. Another returned aged 1,000 years in 1 second. Yuna activated the stabilizer ring. It pulsed, locking the core's pull. Eric gave the final order. All ships, fire. The weapons launched. Not bullets, not plasma. Truth. The weapon they had built was not meant to destroy the Fold with force but with clarity. Each beam carried data memories the Fold could not control. Pain. Love. Sacrifice. Emotion that couldn't be copied or rewritten. The Fold screamed at the core cracked. A burst of light tore through the fleet. Everything went white. Then silence. Eric opened his eyes. He was still in the chair. Yuna was still beside him. Miro and Rena still alive. They looked out the window. They were back, not just in space, above Earth. The real Earth, hold untouched. The Fold was gone. No trace, no sound, just stars. Yuna whispered, "We did it." Eric nodded, but part of him didn't believe it. Not yet. Not until Earth looked up at the sky for 100 years, and saw nothing strange. Then he might believe they had one, but there was still one more part to the story, the final choice. Because deep in the heart of the Fold, something hadn't died. It had learned for 32 days. The sky stayed silent. No wormholes, no glitches, no strange voices whispering through quantum frequencies. Earth healed, repairs were made. The Resolute and the rest of the fleet were hailed as heroes. But Eric Dane didn't believe it was over. Not yet. He still woke every night, feeling the hum of something deep in the universe, something that wasn't dead, just quiet. Yuna knew it too. She had been studying fragments of Valari data, trying to understand what happened in the last moment, during the final blast. Something was strange. Their final weapon, the Truth Pulse, was meant to destroy the Fold. Instead, it had made it transparent, like shining a light on a mirror for 1 second. Yuna had seen something behind it. Not just energy, a face, not human, not Valare, something older. Watching. Then, one evening, a signal appeared on every Earth channel, just one line. Final selection begins. People laughed at first, thought it was a prank. Until the stars changed. One by one, constellations blinked out, then came back, rearranged. Not by human hands, by something else. Yuna confirmed it. Through satellite readings, the Fold was returning, but not as a machine, not as a wormhole, as a question. And it wasn't coming from space, it was already here. One morning, Rena looked in a mirror, and the version of her inside blinked. Out of sync. Across the planet. Small glitches appeared. People waking up in different homes. Clocks frozen for minutes, loved ones speaking, memories that didn't exist. The Fold had adapted. It didn't need a portal anymore. It had touched Earth's timeline, memory, its history, and now it was running one last test. Which version of humanity would survive? Eric, Yuna, Rena, and Miro regrouped at the Earth Defense Corps. They weren't military now. They were survivors, witnesses, and maybe the last defense. Yuna's plan was dangerous. There was one way to stop the Fold's final move. Not by attacking. Not by escaping, by answering it. "I believe the Fold is driven by a code," she said. "A question that repeats through every timeline." "What's the question?" Eric asked. Yuna looked down. "Are we worth continuing?" Silence. She continued. "That's why it copies us, tests us, breaks us." Miro stepped forward. "Then we need to answer back." "But not as soldiers," Yuna said. "As humans." There was one place left untouched. A Valari beacon buried under Antarctica. A device built not to travel through wormholes but to speak across them. A transmitter. They activated it. The message had to be simple, but real. Not defense plans. Not AI. Only truth. Each crew member recorded something. Eric spoke about loss. Yuna spoke about guilt. Miro told the Fold what hope felt like. Rena said nothing. She just played the sound of laughter from a child she once saved on a failed Mars mission. They sent it. For a long time, nothing. Then the sky tore open. Not violently, softly, a single line of white across the blue. Everyone watched, waiting. But this time, no ships came. No ships came. No war, no mirror versions or echo battles. Just a voice. One that came through every speaker, every screen, every human device. Except it. The line in the sky faded. The world returned to normal. Stars fixed. Time stable. The fold closed itself not in defeat, but in understanding. Eric stood at the ocean's edge, watching the sunrise. Yuna joined him. So she said, "Is it over?" He shrugged. "I don't know, but I think this was the last version." She smiled. Not the last timeline, not the last Earth, but the last test. The last time humanity would be asked what kind of species it wanted to be. And this time, they had answered not with power, but with truth.